And do you want to know how your business can grow indefinitely forever for free? Is this. Attention is the most valuable asset we have in the world right now. And our attention is a very finite resource, whether it's you running your business or people's attention in terms of social media. So a really important thing for this is a two-pronged approach. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. So if you haven't done this before, do this after this podcast, get a pen and paper and do it right now. And you want to give as much value as possible in your content so people share it, they engage it, they can't wait for the next thing to come out. Now, when we look at having a successful business, there's three wheels of the business I like to break this up into. We have number one, lead generation. We have number two, sales. We have number three, fulfillment. Now, the big mistake most people make is they get stuck at point one, lead generation. But as your business grows, you're going to get stuck at different points. So I'll give you an example. I remember summer of 2020, just after COVID happened, we started scaling like crazy on Facebook ads. There was a system called Direct Heroes, where basically I was generating leads at like $1 a lead, and we had an automated messenger system that was firing back, and we were signing up like 5 to 7 clients a day. So we had lead generation down, we were crushing it. At that point, I'd also built a sales team called Closing Force, who were closing our sales. They were crushing it. The big problem I then had, I lead gen, sales sorted, fulfillment was a shit show. And we didn't have enough coaches to handle the volume of clients coming through. So that's obviously a great problem to have. However, I learned a lot of lessons in that process. So for example, one of them was we hired 7 coaches in a week, and it was a complete nightmare. And one of the most important things to say to all the clients and coaches we work with at 7-figure scaling systems is this. What we often tell you What we often tell you that is important to do is things to do, right? Action tasks. But what's actually more important a lot of the time is what you shouldn't do. The icebergs to avoid, which can cost you a lot of money or waste like 6 months of your time. Now, if we look at point number one of the 3 parts of the jigsaw puzzle to build a successful online coaching business, number one is attention. Attention is the most valuable asset we have in the world right now. And our attention is a very finite resource, whether it's you running your business or people's attention in terms of social media. So a really important thing for this is a two-pronged approach. Number one, you have to become a credible brand within your industry. And one of my favorite sayings that I got from Grant Cardone was omnipresence. When I was an estate agent 5-6 years ago, I used to drive around in my Mercedes between viewings and selling houses, and I used to listen religiously to Grant Cardone, basically sales-based, Gary Vaynerchuk, basically content-based. So those like lead gen sales training right there. So that's all I was trying to learn at that beginning process, was how to generate leads and how to basically close them. Because if you're looking to scale your business, the only 2 things you really need to focus on at the beginning are these 2 very simple things that people overlook. Number 1, booking sales calls. Number 2, closing sales calls. So what do you think you should spend the majority of your time focusing your hardcore attention on and focus is developing those 2 skills and those 2 parts of your business. Now, when we look at trying to create attention awareness, there's a couple of different ways to do this. Number 1, obviously we have social media. We have a lot of different tools available within that platform. So we've got things like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, email marketing, all those things. And within our programs, we teach what's called the filthy marketing method, where we use Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube. Now, the reality is, when you're starting and you're, say, under 50K a month, you don't want to use all 5. That is going to be an absolute shit show. What you want to actually focus on doing is going deep on 2. The reason I say 2 is you always want to have a diversification in terms of lead flow. So to give an example, probably the most challenging 3 days I had in my life was, it's even difficult to talk about, was in January 2022. On the Wednesday, I got divorced from a 14-year relationship. On the Thursday, I gave away my house and all my personal possessions. On the Friday, whilst living in a hotel in Kingston, the Doubletree Hilton, 5 minutes before speaking on a big podcast, my Instagram account got disabled. With 500,000 followers, that was our main revenue generation source. When it rains, it pours. And it's not about waiting for the storm to pass, it's about learning to dance in the rain. So these things are big learning lessons. However, the big business lesson I learned from that, and I knew that day may always come, is that things can often go wrong, and you don't want all of your income coming from one single income source in case Meta takes that away from you, in case LinkedIn shut you down, whatever it may be. So one of the most important things to make sure you have some diversification, because a really important thing for you to do in business is this. It's called a SWOT analysis. And that stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. So if you haven't done this before, do this after this podcast, get a pen and paper and do it right now. And one of the biggest threats you can have to you in your business right now is I imagine the majority of your leads are probably coming from Instagram, which is what's 95% of the people within the fitness industry. And this is literally like dynamite about to blow up, because that could get taken away from you at absolutely any point. And this is something you really need to try and protect against by diversifying lead flow when you're getting traffic and awareness. Other ways you can get traffic and awareness: one, affiliate branding and working with like big companies. So if you can get your social media to pop off, the one thing I would suggest to this in terms of social media strategy, which is what we do, is we try and create short virally clips or reels, TikToks, YouTube shorts to pull in mass views to get people to find us. And then we try and pull people into longer form content like podcasts, YouTube videos. Because what you want is for clients and people when they come onto sales calls is to absorb as much content from you before the call as possible. And a 30-second reel of you showing a bicep curl is not really going to change their life, but you giving tons and tons of value away on like a YouTube video, a longer form podcast, or even email is going to pull those people in so they're much more warm. A really important tool I'd suggest for a lot of people when beginning is thinking like this. And a really good way to make content is, what does your audience believe to be true that isn't? And that will give you a really good frame in terms of things that will change people's perspective with content and will help them to buy into you more. And my other framework I really like to teach in terms of content is creating content that has education yet has utility. So you teach something like this type of bicep curl variation, they can try it and like, holy shit, this works. This is Charlie's free stuff. I wonder what his paid program's like. And you want to give as much value as possible in your content so people share it, they engage it, they can't wait for the next thing to come out. I'll give you a good example from business perspective. Alex Hormozy is someone who gives away so much value that people just share his content all the time. And that's how his audience has exploded, and that's what you need to apply to your fitness business. Number 2 is sales. So sales processes are key. Now, the biggest mistake I see so many trainers making, and this is quite frankly what I would do if I hated money, and I don't hate money, and if I didn't want to get client good results, and I want to have a really unsuccessful, volatile business, is this. And that's purely selling monthly reoccurring programs. Now, there's a couple of big issues with this. Number 1, if a fitness client is signing up for you on a monthly program and they've never been in shape before and they have commitment issues with getting in shape, do you think psychologically they're fully committed and invested? No. Their commitment is monthly. Whereas if someone signs up with you out the gate 6 to 12 months, they're all in terms of they're going to make it happen in terms of changing their transformation. So like, for example, they can draw a line in the sand, step over it, become the person they want to become. They're going to be a much better client to teach, much better client to coach, and they're going to get much, much better results, which in turn will help you build your business a lot quicker. The other reason why selling up front is so important for building a business is this. Money now is much more valuable than money later, because money later may never come. Now, the reality is that people will maybe say sign up for a monthly program, say you do it for 12 months, and then month 2 they're in and they're like, oh, my cat got the flu, and then also I broke a toenail and I can't do the program. So I'll get back to you when I can. And anyone listening to this as an online coach who sells monthly has probably heard that a lot. Now, the reality is this is why a lot of clients have commitment issues. And that's why you need to get them committed at the start of the process and get them to understand this is a journey and it's not a quick fix. And this is a really key fundamental to you having a good relationship with the client as a coach and getting the best results possible for them as well. The final note I'd make in regards to sales is this. Sales is a skill you have to master and to learn. And this doesn't come about just by accident. You get really good at sales. So one of the big things we really focus on helping our clients with is sales training. We have 2 group calls a week in terms of sales training with our head coach, Corby. We also have one-to-one sales calls where people can book in training calls to role play. And this is the fastest way to grow your business. So I'll give you an example why. If you take, for example, your closing percentage from 25% at the moment to 50%, you double your entire business. Literally everything. So if you're really poor at sales, this is the big bottleneck you need to fix. And this is one of the biggest things we help coaches with, is identifying what the number one thing is you need to fix in your business. And this is the most important skill in business and scaling businesses. And having done this with multiple businesses myself, is identifying what's the one thing that's not just going to move the needle a little bit, but fucking break the needle and take you to the next level. Because I'm not interested in people signing up an extra client a month. I'm not interested in signing up an extra 2 clients a month. We had a client of ours, Yusuf, join our program from Sweden. And in July, he signed up 54 new clients. And that's what I'm talking about in terms of actually taking action and breaking the needle and not just making marginal gains. We have no interest, and I quite frankly could not give a shit about helping people create a highly paid job. We help people create highly profitable businesses where you can serve people, create impact and change their lives. And then you also don't have the golden handcuffs that are handcuffing you to business, that you're the person pressing all the buttons all the time. And this all comes down to having the right processes in place. And one of the biggest things with that is having the right sales processes. So identifying how to get the right clients to come through, what to pitch them, what's the best price point for this individual, and not having a one-size-fits-all pricing program, because this is going to leave a huge amount of money on the table, which is going to cost you a fortune in what I like to call ignorance tax over the next 5 to 10 years. The reality is, if you've got a reasonably successful business, that's probably millions. The third part of the jigsaw is having a good product. Now, one of the biggest things I like to talk about with our own fitness business is using clients to acquire more clients. So here's a framework for you to think about right now. What if you only got to sign up one more client and you were never allowed to market again? How would you treat that client? How would you get referrals from them? How would you get recommendations? What would the reviews look like you get from them? And that's what you want to treat the clients coming into your business, because what they can do is they can bring more people in. And do you want to know how your business can grow indefinitely forever for free? Is this. If you get every one client to refer 2 clients, your business will grow forever for completely free without any advertising. Penny drop moment, right? And that's the importance of referrals and your program actually being really good. Now, if we talk about your program being really good, what's important is the first 3 to 5 days when someone joins. This is going to have the biggest impact in terms of the referral rate, the renewal rate, and how long that client stays with you. First impressions are huge. The other thing I would say is that fitness is a results-based business, right? So if a client comes to you to lose 20 kilos and they lose no weight after 6 months, do you think they're probably going to renew? Probably not. So this is a really important framework to think like, okay, we need to push clients for results. But the other big lesson I would say I've learned is you can't use necessarily a one-size-fits-all approach. So you have to have some emotional intelligence to understand what works for one client might not work for another. So to give an example, if you've got clients in your ICA who like maybe having a glass of wine or 2 at the weekend, you telling them they can never ever drink again and they've got to eat chicken and rice and broccoli and protein shakes at the weekend, is probably not going to go very well. And this is where you have to understand the avatar and the ICA who you work with, which is one of the big things we really focus on helping our clients with. The last thing I'd say in terms of having a great product and program is this. 1, you have to walk the walk, be in really good shape, and lead by example. Like, you wouldn't go to a broke person or a bankrupt person for investment or financial advice, would you? Probably not. Wouldn't be a good idea. Success leaves clues. Do you want to be bankrupt? The other thing would you go to a personal trainer who's out of shape? Probably not. There's a lot of people who are in really good shape who are trainers. So what do you think you should do? Probably get in a really good shape. Now, I'm not saying you have to go and compete and try and win the Olympia, but practicing what you preach and being true to your values is a huge thing. Because what I'm going to leave you with is this, is that the highest level of authority in any industry is the person who does the thing, the person who teaches other people to do the thing successfully. So us in business, we have a highly successful fitness business. We then also help other people build highly successful fitness businesses. And that's the key for you being congruent with your audience, having the right values. And these are 3 things you need to focus on to blow up your fitness business. Now, if this was helpful and you haven't already seen it, check out our free 4C content course, which is below this video and podcast. And this will help you in terms of blowing up your business, basically in terms of how to create content, to create conversations, to create calls, and to create clients. And if you want personalized one-to-one help from myself and the team at 7 Figure Scaling Systems, feel free to drop me a message on Instagram with the word scale to find out how we can help you. And my one ask for you, as I'm literally giving you the secrets of everything we do here for free, is please share this with another coach who could take value from this and who would really, really need to see this to have more impact and more income in their business. And we'll see you in the next episode soon.